and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Bigfoot Live right here at the Bigfoot of America podcast show. I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you. Man, it's good to be here. What a busy week. Right now, it looks like we're going live on YouTube and Facebook here. Got a little bit of a delay. Let's punch in, get everything set up. Rock and roll. I better mute myself. I see myself on YouTube. Very cool. I see Michael Gale. How are you? Says hello, Brian. Hey, remember I told you about the cloaked UFO and someone got a video of it in Washington State. It's on YouTube. Michael Gale, let's get you back on the show. Man, let's talk about it if we can next week. That would be great. We're looking at everybody chiming in. Hello, Kathy Hager. Hello to you. God's Guns and Ammo. What's up from the Smoky Mountains? What's going on? Good to have you on the Bigfoot of America podcast show. We're going to check out on Facebook right now to see if we're live. Oh, and we're live. I think Facebook is the farthest behind. So we're going to talk about a few things today. And, of course, my co-host is one of the greatest guys I know, Mr. Scott Brusch of Urban Bigfoot. So, man, let's go ahead and bring him in right now. Come on now. Big Scott, what's shaking?
Dude, what's going on, man?
Man, everything is good. I'm so freaking busy. It's not even funny, but it is in such a good way. And I know you're killing it down there. We're about to get together, right? We're going to, in the next month, we're going to get together, do a live show down there while we're Bigfoot hunting. But yeah, man, tell us what's been going on with you. Thanks for co-hosting tonight.
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? The 80 milligrams of caffeine each in the packets I have in this, we're good to go. I mean, it's water. It's hydration. We're good. It's just gonna hydrate me and jack me up.
That's right. That's right.
Uh-huh. You caffeinated yourself, sir.
I am highly caffeinated. Well, see, I'm doing a dangerous mix tonight. We talked a little bit about this in the green room. I'm doing a dangerous mix right now of Monster and coffee. So
are you trying to mind speak with Sasquatch?
Could be. Could be. Oh, my gosh.
No wonder you're getting knocks on the house, man. They're like, okay, I'm trying to talk to you.
Well, let's hit all right, so everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Yes,
okay, Brian Barber says I'm finally catching a live show. Brian Barber, thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, we're getting kind of crazy right now. Friday nights, Bigfoot Live, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in. We got to do a little bit of catching up. So very interesting what's been going on lately. So we know about the Ohio sightings, right? Then you've had activity in Monroe. My girlfriend's daughter had a sighting in Monroe. This is all on our previous podcast episodes. And now there's been a cluster of sightings, or maybe a handful. I've got 2 or 3 of them written down here from Ontario. Now, what does that have in common, Scott, right in your backyard?
That's correct. That would be the good old Lake Erie.
That is my theory of why they're there. Lake Erie is the shallowest of all the Great Lakes. And let me pull this up right now. But I have a picture, supposedly, of one of the delicacies that's going on down there right now in Lake Erie called the fat jumbo yellow perch. And from my understanding, it is
Yeah.
one of the tastiest fish that there are. Where's my
When you
little
come out
write up?
here, I will take you to Trappers. They have the best perch fish fry around here.
Oh, really?
Yep, so we can get some fish and then go squatch.
Very cool.
Yep. It
All
is,
right,
man.
hold
Perch is
on.
great. I'm more of a cod guy, but perch is fantastic. I love it.
All right, I'm looking it up right now. Okay, big yellow perch, often called jumbo perch, are typically defined as being over 12 inches long. These prized aggressive fish are commonly found in fertile, cool water lakes, aka Lake Erie, in some cases, smaller creeks with top destinations, including Lake Cascade, Lake Erie, Lake Simcoe. They're often caught using jig spoons and flashers during spring or see through the ice. See, the ice melted, and it seems like all the Bigfoot in that area are getting active. I'm not saying that's the only reason. We know it could have been the meteors. There's some fireballs going over that area in Ohio. But yeah, gee, I'm just trying to put everything together as to why it's so crazy down there. Wow,
It's
but
got
it
to be
says
a
these are,
migratory pattern, man. It's got to be a seasonal migration thing.
I think so, brother. I think so.
And plus, too, we've had those like Seiche waves lately that have destroyed like a mile of the shoreline. So you can walk out into Lake Erie that would normally be like 10 feet over your head. So now what if
Easy.
Sasquatch knows when these waves hit? And what happens when that happens? The fish get stranded on the shore. All they got to do is come through and they're fresh for the picking, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff. That's like the ice jams. Well, yeah, the ice jams along St. Clair River, they kick up all these fish, and then the bald eagles and the snow owls start showing up.
For sure.
All right, let me read these two encounters. Here's the two encounters that I have. So if there's more, and I believe both of these are from the Bigfoot Mapping Project. Check them out with Scott Tompkins. We always want to give people their due. So between Scott Tompkins of the Bigfoot Mapping Project and Jeremiah Byron of Sasquatch or Bigfoot Society, yeah, man, they have it going on. So the first one is an 8-foot cinnamon colored hair Sasquatch that was kind of passing through this wooded area, I think near Thamesville. Now, what's interesting about that is Brian Russell. No, not Brian Russell, another guy, and I can't think of his name. But anyways, out here on Saginaw Bay, which is not far from Lake Huron, Lake Erie, all of that, there's a cinnamon-colored, highly aggressive Sasquatch out there. And the buddy of mine, gosh, what the heck is his name? He got surrounded. So, and this is not too long ago. So if we throw in the Ohio sightings, the Sasquatch sightings, Brittany Queen sighting there in Monroe, your activity with Jake, this recent sighting here in the Thumb of Michigan of one, two, I think there was 5 of them. They were, all 4 of them were black, and I think the one was a cinnamon colored. So anyway, so Chatham, Kent, 8-foot cinnamon hair, April 3rd. It was Chatham, Kent, not Thamesville. All right, the second one is a 7-foot tall black one near Dresden, Ontario, standing on the edge of the woods facing the highway. I'm not sure what highway runs through Dresden, Ontario, but there's a little bit of information for you. Now, with that said, let me get another eyewitness encounter here and pull this up. Now, I've told you about before, but I want to reiterate, we've had an ongoing sighting here in Port Sanilac, which is not far from what I call the Garden of Eden, where there's a whole clan at. I've heard them samurai chatter, footprints, all of that. But there's a lady who lives in Port Sanilac who has a large gray Sasquatch. Her first encounter was this thing came and stood kind of at the edge of her backyard when she was doing her flower beds in the evening. And it kind of looked at her and looked at the water, looked back at her, and she was freaked out. And she just kind of was like, yeah, go ahead. And it walked down, and she had seen that multiple times where in the evening hours it would go down. Now, I'm thinking they're waking up because they're mainly nocturnal. Would you agree with that, Scott?
I would think so. I think the most active time that I found, and coincidentally, the time that we found is we're not welcome, is between like 3 and like 6. I think when they're. Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, 3 and 6 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm writing this down, brother.
Because at that time, I think that's when they're really doing stuff. I think that's when hunting patterns are starting. They're starting to stalk deer, and deer are bedded down at that time as well.
Okay.
So there's a whole lot of reason for that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, this was at dusk. So, okay. So it's going down. Now, what is it doing? Man, probably drinking for sure. We've got all fresh water around here. And I just, man, I think they overheat in the summertime and they're looking to cool off. I think they do a whole lot more swimming than we ever imagined. You know, there's accounts of fishermen fishing and seeing something off in the distance, poking his head up, and it end up being a Bigfoot. I've heard of that before. So anyways, we've had that ongoing situation here in Port Sanilac, Michigan, which is just down the road from me. Well, now there's another encounter there. I wouldn't call this a sighting necessarily, but I would call this an encounter. My buddy Jerry Lentz, who lives just outside of Port Sanilac, said the lady was in their hot tub late at night, and then something was throwing rocks and apples at them, trying to get them to go inside. And then they were also hearing tree knocks. And it happened a handful of times. So that is interesting to me. So they are active this time of year. Like, my goodness. All right. So we got all that. Hey, we got Sheryl Green. Sheryl Green? Wait, who is this? Who? Somebody just chimed in.
Me.
Sheryl Green, what's going on?
Well,
How
you guys
are you,
just
Sheryl Green?
pretty good. I just got back from the dog walk. I just cut in when he was talking about the Bigfoot in the water.
Mm-hmm.
The Bigfoot that is up in the UP that would always come out when I would bring my four-wheeler there and let the others pass would either come out to play in the water, sitting and playing, or catching fish. It depended on what he was wanting to do, but he would do it while I was sitting there. And when I left, he left. That was a connection we had where he wanted to be out there by me, but we was 100 yards apart. And just having a good time watching each other. So they do come out to fish. They do come out to play in the water, and to cool off and everything. They have a special spot to be there.
You know, Sheryl, I know I'm so happy you're on the show. You know, we've been talking about this for some time, and I am tickled pink. Can we rewind a little bit?
Okay, I'll say this. I apologize for not being here earlier, but living with my cousin, taking care of her when her husband passed away, 7:00 Friday nights was the women's time. So I'm up in my new house where I'm trying to connect with the Bigfoot up here. So
Nice.
yes, we can rewind. Go ahead.
I want everybody to know your story. I have been privy. You know, Sheryl was my first moderator in the group. Sheryl has been with me from the beginning. Nothing but appreciation. She's given me tips and pointers. Do this, don't do that. And I am nothing but thankful to Sheryl Green. But you got a story. And you've got a bigger story than most people who just see a Bigfoot for 5 seconds. So can we rewind, and can you tell us how it all started for you and how you feel you are connected to the Bigfoot? Because whenever you move from one location to another, it doesn't take long, and then you're having interaction again. So can you kind of give us your story?
Okay, I will start in the beginning. There's too many stories to tell it all tonight, but when I was growing up, I had problems with my family, and so the girls in the neighborhood would go out camping, take the younger girls with us, and we had 2 Bigfoot back in the back 80 that would protect us from the boys coming up to pick on us. They would chase them away right after Mom would come checking on us girls and leave. The boys would come up to tease us, and they would be chased out by the 2 Bigfoot. Now, the Bigfoot did not come close enough to camp that the little girls would see him because it would scare them. we knew what was going on. We saw them. And when the boys got up to my mom's house, Mom came back to see what was going on. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, you and Grandma know our protectors are here. And she goes, yeah. She goes, is that what happened? He goes, yeah. Well, the boys are scared. They don't want to come back there. I said, it's because the Bigfoot are protecting us. I said, they're out there when I'm out there because I love to go in the woods, climb trees, hunt mushrooms. If they were there, they would let me know. Growing up down there, and that was in Kent County in the 60s and 70s. I moved to the UP. I have the one I told you about. I have 3 juveniles that love to fight and argue, and they scream and really make noise. I have a sand-colored one over by, well, I won't say the name of the road, that'll stand off the road and watch traffic go by. Now, that's over by a ski hill. I've never saw that color before. Out in Muskegon, where I'm staying most of the time, is a family of them, and they're out there, and if I take my dogs for a walk and they've got their juvenile with them, I end up with pine cones thrown at me. If they don't have the juvenile with them, then they just kind of shadow me and the dogs. But they're always there. Like Brian said, wherever I go, if there's a Bigfoot, they let me know they're there. I've not come across an aggressive one. I've not come across a stinky one. And I think with the experiences I've had and talking to people, the stinky ones are like a skunk. They want to chase you away with a stink first. And that's their idea of maybe you'll leave because it stinks so bad, and then they're not going to do no harm. But me personally, like I told Brian the other day, I never believed in portals. I do have a portal out in Muskegon, and I have found 3 times, and I'm trying to get them on my game camera, of little people out there. I never even knew of them until recently. So I don't know if they're connected with little people. They're about knee high. And I've never saw them before, but this connection out here in Muskegon has them. So I don't know if they're connected with Bigfoot or not. And I'm hoping never to see a Dogman.
We, you know, the beginning, I'm going to be a little bit vague, Cheryl, but we'll put it this way. When you were young, the clan of Sasquatch basically came to your rescue at one point. And that's when it started. That's when it started, right?
Correct.
And your story is so important because we do hear a lot of stories about them just being so scary and people just being so afraid of them. But you have had nothing but the opposite. And then on top of that, you're a female. And I do believe that women, for the most part, have a different or can have a different relationship with Sasquatch, because Sasquatch aren't as worried as women having guns and coming after them and killing their family members. What are your thoughts?
Well, they love to watch women and children. It has been proven that they're very interested in watching them as a protector. They are aggressive towards men, more or less, because men are going to get after them. Because let's face it, people don't believe in Bigfoot, and something scary they've never saw before is going to scare the crap out of them. I've had so much good experiences with them and connections with them that I feel more comfortable with a Bigfoot near me than a human being in the woods.
Wow.
We had one that was out in the UP. My girlfriend and I went fishing at 11 o'clock in the morning. We fished till 11 o'clock at night, and this Bigfoot came out. Now, this was my first UP Bigfoot. Standing behind a maple tree in the middle of the swamp that wasn't even as big around as a 50-cent piece, his eyes were 14 feet above the ground. He would turn, look at us. His eyes would kind of shimmer in the light, and then he'd close his eyes or something. They wouldn't be there. We finally got a little bit nervous of it because I wasn't too comfortable with that one, and said, okay, he's going to get the fish. He's going to get the fish guts. He's going to get the ones we've cooked. Let's leave. And by the time we got the car lit up and turned, he was out of that swamp and we couldn't see him. I mean, we couldn't even hear him, but he was there earlier for 6 hours watching us. So, that's out in the National Forest.
Wow. Now, I got a question for you. So I know your relationship, Cheryl, with Sasquatch. Well, when I first met Scott Brusch, we went out and did an episode with him. What is it, Scott? Season 2, episode 5 or 7?
7.
Okay. And we got activity. And so you can check out everybody at home, you can check that episode out on our YouTube channel. Oh, everybody we're also on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. A lot of good stuff is coming this year. We're going to larger platforms, and I will be announcing that over the next couple of weeks. But back to Sheryl and Scott. Cheryl's story is very important to me right now, also having Scott on the show. Scott, go ahead and tell Sheryl what you received, and then Jacob, your team member, received as well. And I want Cheryl's take on this.
This was super cool because this was literally on February 1st, and it had been so cold that we hadn't been out doing any research or anything at that time. And when me and Jake were just out there hiking, because it was a sunny day, it was one of them days where we're going to take advantage. You remember that, Brian? It was like wind chills were like 25 below there for a while. And we're walking down this trail, and I look over like I always do, and like 13 feet off the ground between like a Y tree, there was a branch deliberately shoved in there like a makeshift hook with this huge wreath left on it. Probably like 2 or 3 feet across, like a massive wreath. It's on my page. I think it's on yours too. Do I have it with me? Yeah, I can go grab it. Let me go grab it real quick.
Go grab it, because I want Sheryl to see this. To me, Sheryl, it was a sign of friendship. But I want your interpretation because I've been very fortunate. It took me a little while to get my thoughts together, as you know, and you helped me with that. And then I posted today about my major encounter with the Sasquatch. He said 3 things. Thanks for friendship. My name is Scout, and we rather be referred to as forest people than Bigfoot. We'd like to be called forest people. So I've had some good encounters with Sasquatch. Brittany Queen, even though it was a little bit scary last week down by Scott, I would say she had a good encounter where they just tried to keep her from the area because I think the clan was hunting. But Scott, go ahead. Can you see this?
This would be that wreath that I saw hanging like 13 feet off the ground. What's going to leave this hanging? Huh?
How long had you been dealing with that area?
Probably like 4 to 5 years now. We've been studying it pretty extensively.
Okay, I'm feeling that was a gift, and I'm thinking, now this is just my opinion, that if you start going by yourself, with less people, sit down, drink a cup of coffee or whatever, talk to them, talk to yourself, you might get more of a clearer connection with them.
Okay.
Because they're one-on-one really good. And you may
this is
have
like an invitation, kind of?
Kind of, I think so. And you may have, and I don't know your friends, but don't take offense to this, but Bigfoot are very sensitive. And if you got one person in your group that is kind of negative, but to you they're positive and they're okay, but they're curious, that negativity might work against you having them with you. And you're not going to know if they are or not because they're not going to tell you they're afraid of them or don't believe you. So try it by yourself a little bit if you're not afraid to be out there by yourself.
No, not at all. I've been out there at like 2 a.m. by myself before, but I'm lucky and blessed enough that, my best friend is my research partner. And coincidentally, he got one of the exact same thing the other day in an area that he's been gifting marbles, and they've only been taking the blue ones. And this is a little smaller wreath, like maybe 12 inches. Like it's not as big as mine, but it's the exact same vine material. It's almost like okay, you're here at the beginning, like I got the bigger one, he got the smaller one. Is that, I'm not sure how to gauge the sizes. Is that right?
Well, on the gauges of sizes, now it sounds like I'm going to use another example of Amish. There is a lot of different clans in one city, like Gladwin, and each one is different. They have the metal wheels or they have the rubber wheels. The Bigfoot are the same way. Some do the wreaths, some do the pebbles, some do flowers or whatever. They each have their own little kink of what they want to do. And some of them aren't as big of wreath builders as the little ones, or they might not have had the resources.
Okay.
Now, I've talked to Brian, and because I moved from the UP down here recently, I'm trying to get a good place where we can go. And you, a while ago, Brian, had one over in Blanchard where the owls hooted as the guy was trying to deer hunt.
Yep.
That would be one area I'd be interested in.
Thanks for reminding me.
Because they hooted to chase the guy away, and they'd be clown around him hooting like owls. So that was a connection. Let the guy know, let's back off of here. And I'm
Yeah.
not aggressive,
Scott,
but please leave.
Scott, have you ever heard? It's funny too because I've got a recording from the Garden of Eden, just east of me. It's a definite 3 different Sasquatch hooting, and it's a very humorous. And I'm going to actually try to get that recording on the show. But Scott, have you ever had hooting in your area? And then I want to say hello to everybody who's chiming in. Have you had any hooting in your area?
Yes. And you know what? A lot of times the hooting has been during the day at like
Yes.
4:30, 5 p.m., right around twilight, which is another really active time. We like to go out there right around that time. And there's always been hooting. And I'm like, dude, as far as I know, owls are nocturnal. This is a mimic from a Sasquatch.
Wow. That's funny because now this is a lot. There's a huge data pool about Sasquatch hooting. We've got it in episode 7 with Aaron Spencer of season 1 of the Cass River Bigfoot. I've got the recording as you'll hear, and it sounds like a normal owl, then a different tone normal owl, and then almost like a individual who I think is a young Sasquatch trying to imitate his mother and father do an owl call because it was like this. Hoo, 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 hoo. And then the other one was like,
yes, exactly.
Hoo, hoo. And then the third one was like, hoo, hoo, hoo. And it is so funny. You actually laugh when you hear the recording. But here, let me chime in. I want to say hello to everybody who's following us. Michael Gale says, hello, Brian. Hey, remember I told you about the cloaked UFO? Well, someone got a video of it in Washington State, and it's on YouTube. So, Michael Gale, we're going to follow that up, get you back on the show. God's Guns and Ammo says, what's up from the Smoky Mountains? Kathy Hager says, hello to everyone. Michael Gale says, Brian, it's on YouTube and it's called It's Happened. It's appeared in Jerusalem. So everybody check that out on YouTube, a video with a UFO cloaking called It Has Appeared in Jerusalem. Speaking of that, Ed Whalen, an eyewitness of ours, he just saw... And I think he's in North or South Carolina. He just witnessed hold on, I'm going to pull that up for you. Man, we got so much stuff going on. The activity is through the roof. Hold on, everybody. Let me pull it up here. Ed Whalen trying to do 5 things at once. Okay, Ed says, and this is amazing. So he's had Sasquatch sighting, and he starts it off like this. Hey, Brian, FYI, this might seem crazy, but yesterday I saw this. I have been going back to the same woods as my original Bigfoot sightings, found many new wood structures and a new area right up the road. As I was leaving, I was looking into the woods up on a hill. Then this tic-tac looking object, all dark black, shot out 30 feet in front of me and then flew 2 feet over my head extremely fast. I turned and followed it as it disappeared into the woods behind me. There were no wings on it and there was no sound. It was shaped kind of like a bumblebee or a beetle, but 3 to 4 times as large. Beetles in my area are large, but fly slow, and you can tell they have wings, and it's usually are out of there by nighttime. It seemed faster than a bird. Have I ever heard of this happening? It was a rock, and it hit me in the head. Ooh, if it was a rock and hit me in the head, it would have killed me. Well, here's what I can say. I don't doubt you. So he's showing how big the beetles are. And this cylinder object, tic-tac shaped object, flew over his head. My girlfriend Laura, she was up in the northern part of Michigan. She pulled up to a stop sign and dope-de-dope, just kind of sitting there, looks over, and there is kind of like the same color that Ed is talking about, but shaped like a basketball and just a little bit bigger than a basketball, hovering. So she's sitting at the stop sign. This thing's hovering right next to her. She's looking at it, and all of a sudden it shoots straight up. So to me, might not be the same UFO, but that kind of activity is going on. All right, let me get back to the people, and then we'll get back to you two. So Ed, thank you so much for that. Okay. Brian Barber says, yes, I'm finally catching a live sweet show. Thank you, Brian Barber, for chiming in. He says, if you like belly perch, check out Crystal Lake in early spring or go ice fishing for them. Crystal Lake is loaded. Brian Barber, I need to talk to you more. I would like to know more about that. If I'm correct, is Crystal Lake up near, it's not far from Bear Lake. There's another sighting with Gil Serenopolis up there at Bear Lake. I'm not sure about the locations. Ed Rock. Hey, man, got to just read about you. Ed Rock is on there. Ed Whalen. Howdy to everyone listening from my car. Ed, thanks for the information. Can't wait to have you back on the show. Brian Barber says Crystal Lake is in Benzie County.
Okay.
Zero Cool Tech User says, aye. Hello, everyone. Donna Copa says, hello, everyone. MBR6S67 is watching. Zero Cool Tech User, yes, this was a crazy day, buddy. Donna Duskis, thanks for the invite. You got it, Donna. Thanks for showing up. She says hello to everyone. Brian Barber says hello, Donna. Hello, Brian. Have it in my car going with me just in case. And then wait, what is this? Donna Dukas, did they learn that from the Native Americans a long time ago? I'm assuming that is the wreath that Scott has. What do you think, guys? Do you think the Indians, well, maybe the Indians learned it from the Sasquatch?
I would think they lived hand in hand, side by side. They probably learned from each other. I would think that's why a lot of the teepee structures are that shape. They learned a lot of primitive shelter and survival tactics from the Native Americans. That's personal opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. What do you think, Cheryl? I think they were so connected that the only thing I can come up with is that, not to beat up the white man all the time, but when the Europeans came over, we brought all of our diseases, we brought our guns, and then I don't know if that caused the falling out between the Native Americans and the Sasquatch or what exactly happened, but I think they were just, trading partners at one time. I think they're human hybrids. Sure. What
Did
do you
you
think?
hear about that? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian, if you want. My opinion is, if you look at the history, all the pictures and that, there was drawings on the caves and that, the Indians drew the Bigfoot long before anybody knew about them. I think they worshiped the Bigfoot for so long, and the Bigfoot doing just like they do the women and children, they were helping the Indians in a way. I do think that they had a very good connection for the longest time, and the Indians worship them. Talk to the native fathers and that. They tell you about the Bigfoot and how they treated them, and they worship them. And so I do believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've shown this 50 million times before, but so this is the Bigfoot I believe I met. His name is Scout. Now, I got this picture of him. He grunted at me like a bark grunt. He's peeking out from behind the tree. And then it was right after that, he spoke to me. I'm paraphrasing, basically showed up at my house and said three things. He said, thanks for friendship. My name is Scout, and we rather would be referred to as forest people than Bigfoot. And all of that still blows my mind, and that's why I made another post about it today, is because I had gone into their area. I was giving them respect. I still do when I go there. I was gifting big red apples. And I would say, Ocio, which means hello, how are you in Cherokee? And then I would say, what is your name? And I would say that a few times, and I'd hang out a little bit, and then I would leave. My goal was to show them respect. Well, what happened? They say, thanks for friendship. Thanks for showing respect. Thanks for gifting apples. They replied to me and said, my name is Scout. And then, here's the kicker, everybody. I wear all this Bigfoot of Michigan, Bigfoot of America gear all the time, got the big bomb on my coat. Then what did he say to me? We, forest people. We'd rather be referred to as forest people than Bigfoot. So all of this is hugely loaded. They understood what I was saying, and then could also speak our language. So I always allude that they go way farther back. They've been watching us a long time. They are aware of how we live. Many accounts of Sasquatch standing there looking in windows, watching households go about their business. Yeah, so I'm saying all this because I just watched part of the Sasquatch, the accounts from Sasquatch Ontario, and how they were kind of making fun of it on the Ontario news, like, ha ha ha, somebody saw Bigfoot again, and come on, they're not real, and blah blah blah. And it's like, you guys are so far from the truth. You are so disconnected to what's really going on out there. So when I got people like Sheryl Green and Scott Brusch, who have spent their lives engaged in this subject, and I mean, I've only been knee deep in it now, 3-4 years. It's like, I wish more people would just shut their mouths and listen, But I think with us doing this show, to me, it's to get the word out that, hey, they're out there. Let's respect them. They've got a purpose in life just like we do. And yeah, they exist.
Can I say something?
Oh, go, Sheryl, go.
Please.
When I first come across your program and I saw the things that need to be a little bit of correction, and I could sense that you didn't really believe quite when you saw them, but to watch you grow and start believing in them, and once you started believing in them, they started connecting with you and doing the knocks so you could find out that they were there. You had to go over that hump to not be curious about them. You had to start believing in them. Once you did, they understood that you were there for them. And that's what a lot of these people, the no-sayers, until they start believing in it, they're not going to know it. Those Bigfoot are out there and they see you, they're hiding. And they know you're there. You're not going to see them until they want you to see them. And that's the way these people are. They may see them, feel it, but they're not going to see them until they trust that you're not going to be damaging them or hurting them or anything. And that's, if you go out there and ruin their woods, they're not going to be friendly to you at all. You go cut a lot of wood down, they're not going to be friendly because that's their area. So
and they're they're family units, aren't they, Sheryl? Family units. They are,
very much so. And if you can get one bad one in a family too that has had bad experiences, and that one may be a little bit harder, but most of the family will protect you from that one if you've got the connection with them.
Good stuff. I think what blew my mind is not only did it speak to me, it knew English, it knew how to read English, because I had all the Bigfoot stuff, and it said, hey, we'd rather be referred to as forest people. But when I was out with Matthew Sexton, and then we had gotten back in our tents, and as soon as we got back in our tents and settled, I heard those Sierra sound type howls, which are like a freight train howl. And I say this over and over: when you hear a Bigfoot, when you hear a Sasquatch, you are not sitting around going, oh, I wonder if that was a Sasquatch. No, especially how close this thing was to our campsite. And it let out those 3 huge howls, and it shook me, and it was like a freight train. I realized at that moment, Matt and I had been, half hour, 45 minutes away in the woods when we found the footprints. I believed it had followed us back all the way to our campsite, waited till we got settled, and then it let out those Sierra Sounds type howls to let the rest of the clan know that they could go about their business because we were back at the campsite. Now, that thing could have killed us, man. Matt and I are finding footprints anywhere from 10 inches all the way up to about 22 inches. Huge footprints. And then with Matthew's accounts on top of it, Jim Ingram's accounts on top, these are can be very highly aggressive beings. And for me, and I knew that, and when we got back to the camp, got in, I heard those sounds. I'm like, man, that thing's been following us for who knows how long. It could have attacked us. So all these people out here are like, they're going to eat us. You got to be, like Sheryl said, you got to be careful coming across the wrong one. But for the most part, they are family units, man. Scott, take it for a second because I got to get a drink.
So
Michael
Scott,
Gill
where are you
says,
from?
Go ahead.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Where are you from? Michigan?
Yes. I live in Monroe, actually, and there's been quite a bit of activity in this area lately.
Yeah,
Because
it is a hot spot.
West Branch seems to be picking up, and north of Gladwin again is picking up quite a bit out here. So
West
I'm
Branch
curious.
is considered the unofficial Bigfoot capital of Michigan, I believe.
Right. I've heard
It's
that.
funny too, because that's where the train starts into Rolling Hills. Because up to that point, up to the Zilwaukee Bridge, it's pretty much flat farmland. Like
Yeah.
I know the areas around me has to do with the rivers and the gullies and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's flat land until you get up there towards the Zilwaukee Bridge, the Gladwin area, West Branch area. Then it starts to Rolling Hills, and they love the Rolling Hills because it's easier for them to hide and move about. Donna Dukas says she gets the same thing with unbelievers. It's disgusting. That's why we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep being a platform that is willing to hear what people have to say. And I don't want to speak your truth, Scott. If you've had your own interactions, I don't want to come into your life and tell you, well, this is what happened, Scott. And then Cheryl, lifelong connected to these beings, and it's like, no, I need to shut up and listen. And then Michael Gale says they are real. I seen one in the military. Michael Gale's experience is he's seen them with night vision, or they saw the red eyes as well. So the military knows about these things. The government knows about these things.
Brian,
Scott,
there's actually an old map, an old U.S. Army training map. I cannot remember where the area was. I want to say it was probably Washington. And it actually has Sasquatch on there as one of the animals to look out for.
Really?
It said, if you see one, they're not aggressive, don't engage them, just go away. It's literally on old military maps, training, all that stuff. Like, this is what to worry about. We got grizzly bears and then Sasquatch.
The government was known to take over 8,000 acres out because they had 3 clans of Sasquatch in Washington. And one of the girls that I'm in another group with, she had that right next to her place. And they had the Bigfoot little one would come in and play ball with the ball they'd put under the deck. And he would tap that there. Once the government knew they were there, they cleaned out the woods. There was no more Bigfoot there because there's no more places to live. On the other hand, I don't know if you guys have brought this up, but my experience in the Bigfoot in the UP is they do migrate. They live in the caves, the mining caves and that during the summer, but they go up in the cedar swamps by Lake Superior in the winter. All 3 of my groups do that. And if I go up to feed the deer up there, they're there. They're no longer down in the swamps and that by me or the caves. So that was brought up one time that they do migrate.
Cheryl, you being near the Porcupine Mountains in the UP, being by all those ancient copper mines up there in the UP. So I just recently had an experience with one of my longstanding eyewitnesses out of Millington, Michigan, not too far from me, where he started seeing Sasquatch when he was young. And he's pointed out some areas to me. I can't wait to meet up with this guy. But it got to the point where he was telling me, hey, you need to think differently, Brian. He said, I went out there, and there's a video out there on YouTube where I go out to Millington, Michigan. So check this out. And you're going to see on camera some of the little ponds back in there and the little swamps back into where I went. You could say little lakes or whatever when I went back. He told me that when he was a kid, some of those weren't ponds and lakes. They were gullies. And he said there were caves where the Sasquatch came in and out. And he said even in the later years, his buddy had seen the Sasquatch just kind of walking up out of the pond, and they knew that the cave entrance was down underneath the water. So with your area, Cheryl, there's that show out there. What is it? Drain the lakes or drain the oceans, drain the water, whatever. Can you imagine with all these ancient mines and caves, if you were to drain the Great Lakes or even lower the level of the Great Lakes? I think, Scott, you told me about the ancient land bridge. I know the NCI guys told me that as well. Mm-hmm. There's a land bridge going from the thumb of Michigan or even up towards Alpena that crosses over to Ontario. if we could drain the lakes a little bit, I wonder if we would find some cave entrances along top of that could be connected to these mine systems, the old copper mines, and all of that. What are your thoughts on that, Cheryl? Living up in that area where with all those old copper mines.
Well, I know that there is a lot of copper mines under the cities even. Recently, we've had a lot of cave-ins, sinkholes, as they call them, which could have been caves where the Bigfoot went into because there is a lot of openings. I mean, ATV trails, you see them, and they've got them fenced off, but they're not fenced off completely. And knowing how many Bigfoot is up there from my experience, yeah, I believe that could be. I really do.
And Cheryl, so now I'm going to ask you some pointed questions. How many? So you've had relationships with Sasquatch. What were the colors that you said you saw? And then did they have different facial features? Were some more human-like or some more ape-like? Whatever. What are the types that you've seen?
The colors have been a reddish brown, a brown, kind of a real dark black, but not shiny. And then that sand colored one, which was the very first light colored one I've ever saw.
Okay, cool.
On the faces, the ones down in Kent County were more flat than the ones up in the UP. The ones up in the UP were more dimensional.
Really?
But yeah.
I've got that one account by Kim and John. It's in the intro, it looked up and had the face of a man. One was feeding on a deer carcass and the car came up on it and it looked up and it had the face of the man. So I'm like, okay, do they carve out their own areas? Do different types of Sasquatch kind of keep to themselves or their clan types, or do they just kind of mix it all up?
I'm not really sure, Brian. Not really sure. I know the sounds can be different, but I'm not sure on that.
I'm wondering how many different types of Sasquatch we have here in Michigan. Because, man, the one that Brittany saw a couple weeks ago, it's the long and lanky type. It wasn't that big, and it might have been a younger one, but it's a long and lanky type she said, kind of the long straggling hair as well, zigzagging, and at times it almost seemed like they were hopping down by you, Scott. So be ready for that. Okay, Washington State, Donna Copus says, if you leave them alone, they will leave you alone. Donna Copus, yes, we totally agree. I don't need to prove anything. I have lived with the Watchers my whole life. Can't wait to release Donna Copus's episode in our season 3. She is a wonderful, and that's it too. Sheryl Green, you're so wonderful. Donna Copus is so wonderful. I think Bigfoot are more relaxed around people who are more relaxed.
Okay, I'm gonna cut in just for a second because whoever said that to you a minute ago is not always correct. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. That normally works, but if you're like me, they will not leave me alone. They let me know they're there, either picking on me or making the sound. So yeah, they won't bother you, but they won't leave you alone if they like you.
Well, when you say picking on you, you mean in a fun way?
Yes. Yes, okay. I felt acorns. I felt pine cones. Yeah, the fun way. They'll pick on you. They're little stinkers. But if you've got that connection that they don't feel very comfortable with you, yeah, they'll leave you alone. You leave them alone. But if they want to be like a curious dog, then they'll come try playing with you because they know you're not afraid of them and you're not going to harm them. So yeah. So I'm not trying to make somebody sound bad, but no, Bigfoot want to connect with you now. They're becoming more familiar with people, and if the right people are there, they're going to connect with you, as you found out over the year.
Oh yeah. Now I know where I live is kind of a distinct area because of how it's laid out. It's easy for me to call it the Bigfoot Triangle because of how the rivers flow. Well, I figured out the other day that in a 300 square mile area, I know there's 3 clans of Sasquatch. I've documented 3. Actually, maybe if I throw in the nudist camp, I haven't been able to figure out if the clan that showed up at the nudist camp here outside, exactly outside of. I don't know if anyone's known that we've had a sighting
Dude, why have I not
And-
heard this before? You should have been the
You
first
haven't
one I
heard this
called,
one?
man.
All right, here it goes. I won't give any names right now. I love this guy. I'll just say his first name, Todd. Thank you so much for giving me that call. I got a call from a friend, one of our Bigfoot eyewitnesses, and this was last year. And he said, "Hey, we've had a sighting at the nudist camp." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." He said, we get the music going. We have bands that come and play for us. And, we sing and we dance. And he said, we think all the commotion brought in the clan of Sasquatch because there was multiple Sasquatch standing around watching us do our thing. So I went to the location, and yeah, there was a nudist guy standing there. It's only about 40 degrees. And God bless him, man. What a sweetheart, let me into his private property. This is a private colony, nudist colony. So I was able to go in there and keep eye contact only. And I got to walk around.
You sure it wasn't a bald Bigfoot? I mean,
I got to walk around this area. There were some key things on this topography in this area. One was an Indian sweat lodge where Indians go once a year and do their thing in the sweat lodge, okay? To me, that's a very important ancient connection. Number two, this property had a natural spring-fed pond. Then, number three, I tracked it to a tributary. Everybody always hears me talking about the Black River, but one of its tributaries, is called Mill Creek. And Mill Creek was only about an hour. No, I mean, a mile or two, let me think, three at most, was only 3 miles away at tops. I'm thinking somewhere between 1 and 2 miles. And so the tributary, area where I knew there were Sasquatch, I just hadn't heard of them that far west, except for another encounter with a gentleman and his son in that just south of this nudist colony. So anyways, I got there, looked at everything, and I'm like, yeah, I don't doubt it. They could have been at the river. They could have heard all the banging and everything, singing and music going on. They moved in to check it out, and then they got a load of a bunch of naked people dancing around, and that was their entertainment for the night. So yeah, there's a story, Scott. But that is one of my. That's basically that between that and the man and his son seeing one near the Goodles Recreational Park. That formulated the base of that triangle. So, I forget what my point was, but yeah, they watch us as much as we want to watch them, and they don't have jobs. They don't have, they're mobile.
We're TV, man. We're their TV.
Bingo.
And like me, the whole urban aspect of it, it's the back of a park, man. Like, it's a lot of fringes on roads and fields. Like, they have a lot of entertainment. And I think the more that they're exposed to us, like Cheryl was saying, the more used to us they're going to be, and we're encroaching on the territory. They're losing more wild land. I mean, we're bound to butt heads once in a while now, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
I'm just going to give you a pan. I'm going to give you a quick pan while I'm out back here because this is state land behind me. And I just moved into here. This is how dense this is out here.
Oh, man.
What area is that?
I do feel
Gladwin?
Harrison. I do sense that they're out here. They just have not connected with me yet because I've not been up here very often.
I'm packing my tent as we speak.
Yeah, I'm waiting to be invited up. We're waiting for that one Saturday when I can get my tail up. Friday or Saturday are the best.
Well, in this area, I can. The last one I couldn't because that wasn't my land.
Okay.
Over in Muskegon.
But yeah. So you're saying this location is just because you haven't been there long enough, this is the only area they haven't shown up at of all. Not that you're moving all over the place. It's like your third move.
You're not connected yet because I haven't been here outdoors. This is my third trip up to this cabin. I'm personalizing it this weekend, so I'll move up in 2 weeks. Then I'll spend more time out in the woods than that. And there's a lot of lakes here. There's a lot of streams, and it's state land. So there's a lot of room
Fantastic.
out here.
All right. Well, when you're
And
ready,
then-
I'm coming up.
Well, Leota Trails, check it out. See what
All
you
right,
can find
I'm
on
writing it
Bigfoot
down.
for Leota.
All right, let's chime in with our watchers. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, evening, good evening, wonderful people. Good evening, Cheryl, Urban Bigfoot. Hello, everyone.
Good evening, guys.
Says, hey, Don, I'm late. Sounds like I missed an interesting talk, but goes on to say that I would say nudist people have open minds, probably works well with the foot. Good point. Good point, Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot. All right. Thank you, Jerry Lentz. Jerry Lentz gave me the information about the hot tub and the pebbles being thrown in Port Sanilac, Michigan. That correlates with the other woman's sighting of the Sasquatch walking through down to Lake Huron. Man, Cheryl, with that said, the one last question, and we can keep talking after it. In Michigan, let's debunk some wrong thinking. Not that any of us know for sure, but I personally think the numbers here in Michigan are way more than, let's say, the same as the population of black bears. What are your thoughts about the population of Sasquatch in Michigan, both lower and upper peninsula? Because you've hit all the grounds. You know the area.
Well, we had Priscilla in our group here for a while, and she has found out that there's a lot more Bigfoot in the UP than anybody suspected. There is so many connections down here that I do believe there's a lot more, almost more than there is bear. And the question that a lot of people say, why don't we find a carcass if there's Bigfoot? How many bear carcasses do you find out there? How many
I've asked that
carcasses do
same
you find
thing
out there? Yeah. Now, on the thing about the nudist camps, maybe the Bigfoot thought, hey, they don't have clothes on. They are really like us. There's their whole body parts. They're just like us. And that could be their curiosity.
Yeah, and the sweat lodge was important to me too, because I have two other eyewitnesses that have given Bigfoot eyewitness accounts around sweat lodges. So that to me is a connection to the Native American culture and all of that. I think with the Sasquatch being comfortable with that type of culture. Fantastic.
But look at my experiences, Brian. How many Bigfoot have I talked to you about that I have seen? Not very many people have seen that many Bigfoot or had that much experience with them. They are out there. You just got to have the connection or be lucky enough to see them by mistake.
Yeah, and you've
They're
had
there.
such a long relationship with the one in the UP. I mean, it's almost
Well, if I
heartbreaking.
wouldn't go out and I'm sorry, if I didn't go out there and see him at least once a month because my husband got so sick, he ended up coming up to the house and tapping on the wall just to make sure I was okay.
Oh, wow.
So he was my strongest one.
Wow.
Yeah. So he traveled 2 miles to come up to check on me. And then when we started going out to the bonfires, because I'd have one outside, so my husband had relaxation, you could see him out on the edge of the yard watching us. He'd be under the pine tree and watching us. And he finally let my girlfriend see him while we was at the bonfire, which I thought was really special because he don't show himself to strangers. But she'd been there with Terry and me for so long that he started showing himself to her. So
awesome. Sorry about that, guys.
You got a pretty hand there, Brian.
No, I'm like, I've got my phone on the battery, the battery charger, and it was telling me low power mode. So there must have been a bad connection, but I got it going now. So,
but they do. If they make a good connection with you, they're going to be up there just like your family to watch out for you. And he did. He came from his own comfort zone by the creek all the way up to the house to check on us. So yeah, they're the connection.
And just what you said, if we bring up what happened, a week or two ago with Donna Copus, who's watching right now, she had such a heart-wrenching encounter where a new Sasquatch, a younger alpha male, big black Sasquatch, had come into the area of her elderly Sasquatch. And two of the elderly Sasquatch kind of had to fight this thing off from coming in. It was coming after Donna, and they came to her. And that's not the first time they came to her rescue. You know, one other came to her rescue another time, stopped a Sasquatch from hurting her. So that's almost like, it's amazing. They're not big hairy beasts is the point I'm getting at. They will be connected to you. They will be kind to you. Look what, look at what's happened to me. In the short time I've been checking this out. Sorry, Brian Barber, TKB. That's got to be towards somebody else. But no, fantastic show, guys. That's all on YouTube. Let me check into Facebook to see if anyone's on Facebook. Hopefully that's going through okay. We got nothing on Facebook, but that's okay. Scott, what's going on with you, buddy?
Oh, dude, we're going out for an investigation here tonight about 9:30.
Oh my gosh! So so I'll kind of watch then. Definitely. Where are you guys going out? You going out by the highway marshes or
the same spot? My spot where you film me.
Okay.
Because across that spot next to it, you know what I'm talking about? There's like the cornfield and there's like the runway. That tree line, there's so many of them over there. They observe from over there. So we're going to try some new stuff tonight. I got the night vision and everything ready to go. It's a little swampy back there, and I've noticed when it's a little more flooded, they tend to move more. Obviously, there's going to be less.
So wet.
There's less of a human footprint, so we're more likely to catch evidence going out there during a time where humans are less likely to be out there.
Oh, fantastic, man. Yeah, I get the feeling it's so crowded down there right now. And
Dude,
it's funny because
it is.
We talk about this stuff like it's common knowledge, but there are so many people out, and that's why we're just going to keep going. Scott and Cheryl, we're going to keep bringing this good message, so to speak, that, hey, Sasquatch is out there. Be careful. Look over your shoulder, but be kind, and more than likely, they're not going to bother you. Hey, guys, anything else you guys? Yes, respect them. We're already at an hour. You two have been wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? We don't have to wrap it up right now. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Okay, I'll give you something to think about because you guys are out there. And thank you very much, Brian and Scott. I appreciate you guys because I did mention this to Brian when he first started. Don't give out the locations because there's people on here that are ready to kill them. If they don't see the proof, then they're going to go out there and try to figure out where you're at and kill them. And that's why I tell Brian, never give out the location. And if people don't believe it because you don't give the location, that's a problem. The second thing to think about, because you guys are really getting into Bigfoot now, these kids that get lost out in the mountains, these women that get lost out in the mountains, they lose the memory of certain things, but they're found again safely. How many of them could have been saved by Bigfoot and brought back to where they can be found by humans that they had a good part of saving them people?
I'd say the vast majority, to be honest with you. I mean, how else does a 3-year-old boy disappear for 3 days, other than God, sending a message, and then be magically unscathed, no frostbite, nothing, and be like 15 miles away from where they went missing? There's no other. Right. That's where Dave Politis shines. You know what I mean? All those missing 411 cases.
Yeah, you know what? And good point. And we'll talk about this for a second. The flip side of that coin is like this recent Dogman sighting that's happened in Oklahoma. Have you heard about that?
A little bit, yeah.
The only thing I heard about Bigfoot and Dogman was where they connected. And if you see where they've been fighting, you get out of there because one's trying to kill the other one, trying to save you.
Wow.
And I tried to say that one to you, Brian, that the Dogman was going after the kid, and Bigfoot came after and chased him out of there, and the whole area got tore up. The Bigfoot was protecting the people.
Does that explain? When you walk through the woods one day, and then the next there's just like a massive clearing, like a logging company goes through there? Is that could be where Bigfoots are fighting?
It could be because I tried to send it to Brian. I saw it on YouTube,
never thought of that.
And it's where they had connected, and this guy saw it twice, and he said, you want to get the heck out of there because they almost barreled you over trying to kill the other one. So yeah. So I'm sorry about interrupting you, Brian.
No, that's okay. Hey, reading some of the comments. Yeah, if anyone watching knows anything about the Oklahoma, evidently a woman was attacked by a canine type creature, and it did some pretty heavy damage, I believe, to her arm. And there's a big concern out there for the safety of this woman now because she's a quote unquote eyewitness. We know what happened to Joe Barger here in Michigan, where he was pulled aside by the FBI and said, basically ridiculed, like, hey, you killed one of our assets. And I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me you let these things out or you have them on a leash? And so when they come after us and one of us actually gets lucky and kills one of these things, we're the bad people for you guys having these super soldier dogmen out there? So we believe that could be a circumstance that happened in Oklahoma where a woman got attacked by a dogman. I believe her arm was tore up, and so they're wanting to make sure she's okay and the government's not coming down on her. Because according to Joe Barger's account, the government said that that dogman that he killed was a quote-unquote asset. That tells me that they've got a breeding program of super soldiers. Donna Dukas says she hates it when they clear cut the woods. Donna Copus says she's heading up the mountain tonight to spend the night. All right, Donna, keep us posted. What
Totally
goes on.
jealous.
Yeah. Donna Copus says my old one did survive, and she found him. Awesome. I'm going down to Ohio to see Donna really soon. We got another scene we got to reshoot for her episode in season 3. But hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's been wonderful. Any last words, anybody? Scott or Cheryl, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
I am good. This was awesome, man. I appreciate you letting me co-host with you tonight. And Cheryl, thank you for sharing your story with me and giving us some pointers for tonight.
Well, thank you
And
for allowing
everybody
me.
watching,
Thank you
of
for
course.
doing
Thank
that.
you.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
Cheryl,
I'll
you
come back
are
on later again and keep you updated.
fantastic. You two are both welcome anytime to be my co-hosts. That's what this show is all about. We got a big group. Everybody's welcome to be co-hosts, and you two are fantastic as always tonight. Cheryl, thank you. I'm so
I am
happy.
advertising B.O.A. with my bumper stickers, Brian.
Oh man. Okay, Cheryl. I have no excuse. I owe Cheryl bumper stickers, and she's getting a whole stack now of these Bigfoots of Michigan bumper stickers. Cheryl Green, Brenda Goodwin, and then I've got a customer who ordered a bunch, and they are all getting sent out.
I need the silicone bands, man. I need them silicone wristbands.
I have been working nonstop. I'm talking hours, and I'll be able to make the announcement in another week or two, but everything's looking pretty good to broaden the platform of Bigfoots of Michigan and Bigfoot of America podcast show. And then something else is coming along. So we're going to take that step up. But my point is that this platform is all about the Sheryl Greens, is all about the Scott Brushes out there, the Bryan Sawyers, all of us out there, the Donna Copuses, who have had interaction with Sasquatch, and we're here to get that story out into the public. And and it really is a wonderful journey. So thank you guys for being on, and everybody at home, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Bigfoot Live right here at the Bigfoots of America podcast show. And come on back next week and we'll see you. So everybody give a wave, and we'll end this episode tonight. Bye, everyone.
And don't be afraid to tell somebody you saw a Bigfoot, because they are out there. You've got a big skin, take it with a grain of salt.
That needs to be on a t-shirt. All right. See you.
Yes.
Bye.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Bye.